Okay, picture this. A world where money, as we know it, is completely useless. You know that old saying, time is money? Well, what if it was literally true? What if every single second of your life was the only cash you had to spend? Let's dive into what a world like that would actually look like.
So the whole system is, honestly, brutally simple. The second you turn 25, you stop aging. Sounds great, right? But here's the catch. A clock gets activated on your arm, and it starts counting down from exactly 1 year. And this isn't some metaphor. That is your lifespan. Every single thing, from a cup of coffee to your rent, gets paid for with the seconds and minutes of your life. And if that clock hits 0, you time out. That's it, instantly. So you can probably guess how a society like this functions, right? It gets divided, and I mean sharply and cruelly. We're going to start in the working class time zone, which they just call the ghetto. And here, life is just a frantic, minute-to-minute struggle to survive. And the difference between the zones is it's absolutely stark. It's night and day. In the ghetto, people are living on borrowed time, literally running everywhere they go just so they don't die on the way to work. But then, you jump over a few time zones, and you're in Greenwich. This is where the rich live, and they're basically immortal, with centuries, even millennia on their clocks. They walk slowly, they never rush, because why would you? They have all the time in the world.
And this is where we meet our hero, Will Salas. He wakes up, and he's got less than 24 hours left on his clock. He lives with his mom, and get this, because everyone stops aging at 25, she looks just as young as he does. Today is actually her 50th birthday, and even though they have nothing, you can just feel the love between them. Every single minute is precious. And this scene just perfectly captures the daily pressure they're under. Will goes to buy a coffee, right? Yesterday, it cost 2 minutes of his life. Today, it's 4 minutes. It just doubled overnight. No warning, nothing. See, in this world, inflation isn't just some annoying economic problem. It's a weapon. It's a tool designed to constantly squeeze the poor and make it that much harder to just stay alive.
But Will's entire life, and everything he thought he knew about this brutal world, is about to get completely turned upside down. And it all starts with a random encounter in some rundown bar.
So he's in this bar, and he spots a guy who just sticks out like a sore thumb. He's clearly from Greenwich, and on his arm is a number Will has never even seen in person before, over 100 years. Will, being a good guy, warns him, like, hey, you're a walking target here. People will kill you for that. But the man, whose name is Henry, doesn't even seem to care.
Later, after Will saves him from some thugs, Henry drops a bombshell. He reveals the system's darkest secret. All those rising prices, the taxes, they're not random. It's all engineered. It's not just about inequality. It's a zero-sum game. The entire system is built so that the poor have to die, just so the rich can live forever. Turns out, Henry is 105 years old, and he's just done. He's sick of living this immortal life that's built on the backs of the dead.
So that night, while Will is asleep, Henry makes his move. He transfers his entire lifetime, all 116 years, onto Will's arm. He leaves himself with just a few minutes, walks to a bridge, and just lets his time run out. All he leaves behind is a note for Will that says, "Don't waste my time."
Will wakes up, and he's suddenly a century man. His very first thought? His mom. He sprints to their meeting spot, but she's not there. Why? The bus fare had doubled, and she couldn't afford it. He sees her in the distance, running towards him, her clock flashing red, just seconds left. They're both running, arms outstretched, and she dies right there in his arms. Her clock hits 0. He had all the time in the world, and he was 1 second too late.
In that moment, it just breaks something in Will. His grief turns into pure rage. He realizes his mom wasn't just unlucky, she was murdered by the system. And with that fire burning inside him, he uses his century to do something nobody from his zone ever does. He crosses into Greenwich. He's going to make them pay.
Once he's in Greenwich, Will walks right into a high-stakes casino. And who does he sit down with? None other than Philippe Weiss, a massive player in the time banking world, and one of the guys who basically designed the whole system. In this incredible game of poker, Will goes all in. He bets everything. And Weiss, who's never met anyone who isn't terrified of losing time, actually folds. Will walks away with over 1,000 years. And yeah, he definitely catches the attention of Weiss's sheltered daughter, Sylvia.
But that victory lap is real short. A timekeeper, think of them as the time cops, named Raymond shows up and corners him. He thinks Will killed Henry for the century, so he takes everything back, leaving Will with just 2 hours. In a panic, Will does the only thing he can think of. He grabs the closest person, who happens to be Sylvia Wace, and makes a run for it.
So Will drags Sylvia all the way back to the ghetto. Their car crashes, they get robbed, and suddenly, for the very first time in her pampered life, Sylvia is looking at her own arm and seeing just minutes left. She's forced to feel the raw terror that is just a normal Tuesday for millions of people, the exact feeling her family's fortune was built to avoid.
So Will calls her dad, demanding a ransom, not for them, but to give to the poor. And what does her powerful father do? He says no. He would rather let his own daughter die than risk upsetting the system that keeps him in power. For Sylvia, that's the ultimate betrayal. That's the moment she gets it. Her father values the system more than he values her. The whole inhumanity of her world is suddenly crystal clear.
And right then and there, a switch just flips. Sylvia goes from hostage to partner. She's a revolutionary now. She's seen how ugly her father's world really is, and she wants to help Will burn it down. They're done running, it's time to fight back.
And things escalate fast. They start hitting her dad's time banks, becoming these modern-day Robin Hoods, stealing time capsules and just handing out years to people in the ghetto. Of course, they become folk heroes to the poor and public enemy number 1 to the rich. This all leads to a showdown with a gangster, where Will has to use his wits, not just his time, to win a fight to the death.
But they quickly figure out that their whole Robin Hood thing, well, it's not enough. It's like putting a bandage on a gaping wound. Every time they give away time, the system just raises the prices on everything, and poof, their efforts are gone. They realize they can't just treat the symptoms anymore. They have to destroy the disease itself. They get it now. Charity isn't going to cut it. If they really want to save people, they need to crash the whole economy. They have to steal so much time that the system just buckles under its own greed. It's time to go big or go home. Their new target? Philippe Weiss's personal central vault.
And you know what? They actually pull it off. They get their hands on one single, priceless time capsule, and inside, 1,000,000 years. That's enough time to completely shatter the economy and give everyone in the ghetto a shot at a real life, not just scraping by for another day.
But timekeeper Raymond is right on their tail. As they're racing back to the ghetto, they're both running out of time. I mean, literally down to the last few seconds. And you get this incredible, heart-stopping moment that looks exactly like when his mother died. Will is running towards Sylvia. But this time he makes it. He grabs her arm with 1 second left, gives her time, and saves her life. He gets to rewrite the worst moment of his past. And that 1,000,000 years just floods the streets of the ghetto. All of a sudden, everyone has enough time. People stop working, they're not slaves to the clock anymore. And they start walking, not running, right into the rich zones. The whole system, which was built on keeping people poor, just collapses. The two worlds are finally crashing into each other. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question, doesn't it? The system is broken, sure, but what happens next? When everybody has more than enough time to live, society is going to change forever. It really makes you think. If you suddenly had 1,000 years to live, what would you do first? What becomes important when time is no longer the thing you value most?